Oh shit, no. Damn. We back at it with another video, man. I forgot to tell y'all in the last video, happy Easter though, man. Happy Easter, man. You know what I'm saying? Today we back at it with another video. We talking about, you see what they talking about. We talking about the little Mary Jane.
Turn your love of my.
We talking about the little Mary Jane video, you know what I'm saying? I see I guess she ruining Marvel. I don't know what the fuck that's about, but we gonna react to it.
Your muffins into money. Start selling your digital creations on Shop.
More of a trend. I mean, hell, it's not even the first time.
Go back, damn.
Having an e-commerce store and a brick and mortar store, keeping track of inventory was a headache. Being able to use Shop.
I'm about to spoil what's going on in Marvel Comics right now with Venom. And trust me, you'll get why in a second. Al Ewing's all-new Venom has been drawing a lot of attention lately for teasing a new host for the classic alien symbiote. Instead of Eddie Brock or Flash Thompson, someone new has been inhabiting the familiar goo of the monster's innards. Someone who has been less edgy, less dark, more excited, more swashbuckling. As for where Eddie Brock is, well, if you're curious about that, he's Carnage now. It's complicated. Don't worry about it. It's a lot. When the comic for All New Venom first came out, fans suspected everyone from Madame Mask to Robbie Robertson to Rick Jones to current New York City Mayor Luke Cage to be the All New Venom.
I mean, that makes
sense. But no one, absolutely no one, expected it to be Mary Jane Watson. Yes, Mary Jane Watson, Peter Parker's wife sometimes. That Mary Jane, that one, she's Venom now. Does anyone else feel like this is kind of weird and random and kind of bizarre? I mean,
that's
why Mary Jane? Especially considering her trauma with the symbiote. Venom's first appearance left Mary Jane a shivering, terrified mess, so frightened she had to move apartments afterwards. But I think if you look at the history of Mary Jane Watson, you see this instance as part of a trend. And yes, before we get started, it's highly possible that she's not really Venom and just occupying the symbiote temporarily and just Marvel testing the waters and all that. And yes, I am aware that Ewing did say this is a big change that's permanent and going to be around for a while, but they said that about Spider-Man dying during the Superior Spider-Man storyline. You gotta learn not to trust writers' statements at this point in time. I think the problem isn't specifically this instance of Mary Jane being Venom and more of a trend. I mean, hell, it's not even the first time Mary Jane Watson was a symbiote, or was Venom in particular. I think that you have to look at the trends around Mary Jane's character over the last several decades, though, to see why this is so frustrating from a longtime comic fan perspective. Over the last few years, Mary Jane Watson has been pushed into more superheroic roles, either as a powered hero or an assistant to heroes like Spider-Man or even Iron Man. And the reason is Marvel is trying to justify her position in the comics world at all, where she is no longer married to Peter Parker. Why do we need Mary Jane if she's not Peter Parker's wife? Marvel keeps finding ways to push her into the comics without putting her in the slot that fans have loved. And I think a lot of it has to do with the trajectory that Gwen Stacy has taken over the last several years as Marvel turns.
I see the problem. So, you mean to tell me y'all is trying to make Mary Jane like another Gwen Stacy? Not gonna work like that, man. It's not gonna work like that, man. It's not gonna work like that. And plus, why y'all trying to give my man's Peter Parker an L like that? That's tough.
Turns her into Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's take a few steps back. Let's start off on how Mary Jane and in turn Gwen Stacy were both introduced with Spider-Man, where their arcs went, and how the creative teams and creative decisions over the course of decades pushed both characters into different but similar passages. How Gwen Stacy went from being Peter Parker's main love interest to a ghost to having a renaissance in recent years, and why Mary Jane is floundering in the comics currently, despite celebrating decades of being Peter Parker's one true love. Now, Mary Jane Watson was introduced in the early Spider-Man comics. Her face was hidden at first, and it was some time before Peter Parker encountered her for the first time, stunning him by telling him that he has hit the jackpot. Remember that word, because authors would definitely abuse the jackpot ties to Mary Jane for a while until it became a decaying zombie meme. She existed mainly at this point as a foil to Gwen Stacy. Though Mary Jane Watson was literally the girl next door, she was this feisty, energetic character with dreams and ambitions, while Gwen Stacy, who people forget by the way, initially did bully Peter Parker just a little bit, she felt more like an idealized love interest. She was sweet, vulnerable, kind-hearted. MJ was larger than life, but Gwen Stacy felt down to earth. And that dynamic led into how they were both written from that point on. For a while, Mary Jane was written as someone who wanted to avoid any real decisions of her own, any real pain, any difficult conversations or choices. Now, due to her childhood trauma in an abusive household, she really spent most of her time partying and having fun, though she did have ties to Aunt May through her aunt. I think at the time, many readers might have seen her as a bit superficial, even callous. Now, academics refer to a dynamic called and this is their term, I don't like using the term myself, but the Madonna whore dynamic, where two or more women are created as foils to one another in fiction.
Dang, well, you gotta say it like that. Dang, that's how they say it like that, man.
Where one is saintly and perfect and can do no wrong, while the other is, well, you get the other word I said. That's what they kind of dismiss them as. And prior to, say, multiple decisions of different writers and different creators fleshing out both Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane, sometimes for the worst in the case of Gwen Stacy with sins past, another important thing, Peter could not trust his identity with Gwen. He was always hiding an aspect of himself from her, especially after the death of Gwen's father during a fight between Spidey and Doc Ock. A common occurrence with Spidey's love interests.
It was Doc in the comics? I did not know. I ain't gonna lie to you, I ain't know that. Because in the Amazing Spider-Man movie, it said it was the Lizard, see? And see, you see the two difference from the sorry about that. The comics and the movies. That was a big difference right there, because in the movie, it was the Lizard, and the comics, it was Dr. Octopus. That's crazy. That's crazy.
They tend to like one side of him or the other. They love Peter or they love Spider-Man. But they don't love both, with one key exception that, if you've clicked on this video, you know what the exception is. The dynamic between them was established. Gwen Stacy was perfect. Mary Jane was temptation. She was a party girl with a devil-may-care attitude. But then something important happened to completely deconstruct that dynamic to its core.
If you're a web designer, here are 4 Wix Studio features you gotta know.
A weak-ass commercial, my guy.
The tragic death of Gwen Stacy did change the direction that Spider-Man would take, but I think the scene that really established the tone for the next several decades with Mary Jane in particular is the epilogue of issue 122 of The Amazing Spider-Man. It's the epilogue to the night Gwen Stacy died storyline. Now, Norman is dead at this point, but Peter Parker is left without any real catharsis. Sure, the Green Goblin, he's dead, but who cares? Gwen's still dead. Nothing changed, nothing got better. Mary Jane Watson has been waiting at Harry and Peter's apartment for hours since Peter Parker left to go fight the Green Goblin. When Peter Parker finally arrives, Mary Jane tries to say she's torn up at the death, but doesn't really stick the landing quite well. It's not the best of ways to confront someone grieving. And Peter Parker lashes out at her. Peter implies that MJ doesn't really care about anything, that, it's a drag to her party persona, whatever. And Mary Jane could leave right now. She could very well leave, but instead, she stays. She recognizes that Peter's acting out of pain and realizes what he needs is someone to listen to him and someone to be there for him. And I think this moment is very brief. It's a page long, but it spoke to readers immensely. It didn't feel forced, like they were saying, oh, here's let's get rid of Gwen Stacy and put the new love interest in. It felt like a very sincere moment between two different characters. It didn't feel orchestrated, it felt human. And that moment of humanity really did do a lot to break the dynamic of that had been established between the two characters previously. It deconstructed it. It kind of blurred the lines. Unfortunately, some writers didn't know what to do with it afterwards. Some Marvel writers tried to rebuild that Madonna, dynamic with Mary Jane now as the Madonna and Felicia Hardy in the secondary role. Felicia is essentially a temptress at the beginning. She is very seductive, very erotic, only interested in Spider-Man's identity as a hero, whereas MJ is clearly worried for Peter whenever he goes missing. Felicia loves Spider-Man, but doesn't care at all.
Damn. Alright, man, I'm gonna have to end this video off. It's been like 10 minutes since that. How long is this video? Dang, this video 43. Bro, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We ain't gonna watch 43 minutes. We just gonna have to end off this video, man, because my camera is finna die. And I look good in this, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. But yeah, we just gonna have to end off this video because I'm not watching the whole 43 minutes. Bro, that's crazy. Outrageous. I didn't know that shit was 43 minutes. Crazy. Alright, y'all. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. And see y'all in the next video.